It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. And now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Golden Age of America. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, broadcasting live from our studios in downtown Nashville. In studio, our newest all-star panelist, E.J. Haast. Hello, E.J. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Boy, do I have a morning rundown.
I can't wait to hear it.
I have a record. I have 12 items on the morning rundown. It's time now for the morning rundown, brought to you by the Glock Store, located just a couple miles from the airport here in Nashville, Tennessee. The largest Glock dealer and Glock accessory company in the country. Glockstore.com, Glockstore.com. All right, here we go. The morning rundown for Friday, November 8th, 2024. Number one, Trump won, Trump won, Trump won. Hey, 312 electoral college votes. It's a landslide. He's still up by about 4.5 million votes in the popular vote. It's a double landslide. Number two, in Pennsylvania, Dave McCormick, the Republican, won the race, but whiny Bob Casey refuses to concede. Sore loser. Number three, the House of Representatives. Looks very close, but Speaker of the House Mike Johnson is confident that the Republicans will maintain their slim majority. It looks like it's going to be like 221 to 214 now in favor of the GOP, but not quite there. Number four, Arizona, not called yet. 70% of the votes in. The communist Ruben Gallego leads Kerry Lake by about 1.5 points, but there's some skullduggery they're unveiling there, and Kerry still has a shot, so don't give up on her. Number five, the founder of the Beacon Center here in Tennessee, Drew Johnson, who moved to Chattanooga and then to Nevada, barely lost his House race by about 0.5%. And, great guy, and we're sorry he didn't make it there. But hey, 2026 is just around the corner. Number six, the Senate Majority Leader race is on. You've got two rhino-y kind of guys, John Cornyn, who criticized President Trump for his border policies, and John Thune, who criticized him over J6. And then you've got Rick Scott down in Florida, who's mega all the way. We'll see how that plays out. Number seven, we're going to play Cabinet Bingo today. We're going to match the person. You like that? Yeah. Cabinet Bingo. We'll name the cabinet officer, cabinet position, and see who's up for it. Number eight, Matt Boyle. The great Matt Boyle will be with us in the second hour. Kamala Harris, he broke this story. Kamala Harris raised $1 billion, but is such a bad financial manager. She's $20 million in debt. Oh, so sad. Number nine, Roger Simon, with his comments on the pogroms of Muslims chasing down Jews in the streets of Amsterdam. Bad news. Number 10, Crom Carmichael will be here in the Tennessee Bonus Hour. Number 11, E.J. Haast. I've got a theory here I want to run by you, EJ, in just a moment. Number 12, the Ohio Senate seat is open now. Who will Rhino Mike DeWine governor appoint? Will it be Vivek Ramaswamy? I think not, and I'll tell you why when we get back and after we finish the morning rundown. Well, there you go. That's the morning rundown. 12 items here on Friday, November 8th, 2024. This is the time of year when we're called upon to be thankful. So I'd just like to talk about something I'm very thankful for. That's our sponsors. We're commercial radio. We don't get a handout from the government, and we don't bend the knee to get, crumbs from the government. We express our own opinions. And one of our favorite sponsors, our good friends at the Glock Store, Glockstore.com. Lenny McGill, what a classic American success story he is. Just love the guy. When he's in studio, he lights up the studio. And he's probably the best radio voice that you'll ever hear. How is that? Well, he's got to start. He's from Pennsylvania. He got to start as a singing waiter. He moved to San Diego, California. He was such a good singing waiter. Guy who owns a radio station hired him, and he started selling radio time. And he was so good at selling radio time, a guy that was doing an ESPN event on shooting called him up. Hey, can you sell some time? And Lenny said, sure. He sold some time. He was so good at it. He then became an expert. If you go to YouTube and you want to learn how to shoot, There are 400 YouTube videos featuring Lenny McGill.
Oh, wow.
From there, he started the Glock store. And then, after 30 years in California, he said, I got to get out of here. Looked around the entire United States of America, and the best place to grow a business, Nashville, Tennessee.
I can relate.
And he's been here since 2020. Glockstore.com. Glockstore.com. Go there. They are a great sponsor. And, you know, anywhere in the United States, you want a Glock accessory, you can get it from the Glock store. So, there you go. EJ, it's a great day, isn't it?
It's been a great week.
Hasn't it been?
It's been fantastic.
Life is interesting because often you have to kind of brace yourself for reality.
Mm-hmm.
And you brace for reality, and sometimes reality is even better than your expectations.
Is that how you're feeling?
That's how I'm feeling.
That's how I'm feeling.
Is that how you're feeling?
Absolutely.
So I have a theory.
Okay.
And I think, well, first, I think Donald Trump turning his head at the last minute, July 13th, at the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, where the bullet whizzed by and just nicked his ear.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was providential. And I think that it really influenced Donald Trump, and I think he believes that to be providential.
Absolutely.
And if you think you're here on Earth because of an act of God,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of gives you a purpose, a mission.
A completely different perspective, probably.
And I'll also tell you this: I think it's pretty clear that the Democrats cheated in 2020.
Oh, without question.
Joe Biden got 81 million votes in 2020, supposedly. 66 million for Hillary Clinton, the Democrat nominee in 2016. I think Kamala right now is at 67 million.
Mm-hmm.
Where did those 14 million votes go?
Isn't that hilarious? I posted on X because, you kept seeing these 15 million Democrats didn't vote. Where did they go? And, every influencer out there and even
They go to
news,
Canada?
right?
Where'd they go?
Nonsense.
They didn't
What
exist.
I said was, if you're asking that question, where did 15 million votes go? Ask your friends who were Trump supporters in 2020 where they came from, because where they came from was more important than where they went.
Yeah,
right? I just think that there was far less cheating, and we have Laura Trump to thank for that. We have an army of attorneys and
Michael
a massive,
Watley,
yes,
Harmeet Dillon,
absolutely.
Gina Swoboda, the chairman in Arizona. Let me tell you this. Here's my view on this.
Okay.
If you look at the long arc of history, over time, the United States is going to be better off after the cheating that I'm talking about 20 years from now.
Sure.
The cheating that put the Biden regime in power for 4 years. And now we have created a unity party, Donald Trump, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Elon Musk,
Tulsi
J.D.
Gabbard,
Vance,
yes.
Tulsi Gabbard, all united to get rid of the idiocy. And as a side benefit, had they not cheated, had Trump not been deprived of that second term, in the 2024 election, the front runner would have been that weasel, Mike Pence.
Sure.
Well, guess who we have now?
Right.
We have J.D. Vance.
Yeah, we had to go through the pain to get to where we are today. I agree with you there.
I didn't want to go through the pain, and it came at a great cost. It came at the cost of the rise of Islamists around the world. It came at the rise of the war between Russia and Ukraine.
Right.
Inflation,
yes.
all sorts. It was very painful.
Right, and immigration that's going to take years to fix.
But guess what? We're going to fix it.
It's going to be done.
It's going to get done.
Finally. I've
We'll hold on to that
Yes,
thought
sir.
because we have to pay the bills here. We'll be back with E.J. Host after this. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
My fellow Americans, I have to tell you about my good friends at D.T. McCall and Sons. They have furniture and appliances and a lot more. They've been family owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years, and they're not going to rip you off. No hidden charges, no delivery charges, no charges for all of the crazy things. These are sick people at the lumber yards. These are very sick people. They charge you for cords and hoses and haul off. They charge you for all of these things. They call them hidden charges. It's the type of surprise that you don't want to see. It's like an October surprise, but it's worse. D.T. McCall and Sons, they're not going to do that. They're great people. They're going to give you a great deal with locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin. D.T. McCall and Sons will give you the deal of your life. Check them out today or go to dtmccalls.com.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Our newest all-star panelist, E.J. Haast, in
Morning.
studio. E.J., I'd like to play a game. You ready?
Okay.
The game, Cabinet Bingo.
Oh. For the listening audience, I've not yet played this, nor do I know the rules, so I'll do my best.
Well, we're making up the rules for Cabinet Bingo. There we go. Cabinet Bingo.
Sounds like there's cash involved.
Well, there is cash involved, but maybe Cash Patel.
Okay.
You see what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Okay, let's start off with Secretary of State.
Okay.
There's one guy who I think should be disqualified from consideration.
And who's that?
Mike Pompeo.
Absolutely.
Because you may recall in August of 2022, when the crooked FBI with the illegally appointed Jack Smith raided Mar-a-Lago and tried to pretend that he'd taken these documents illegally. Nothing illegal had been done. There's a clip of Mike Pompeo going on Fox News saying, the president should not take any of these documents, and if he has, he should be prosecuted.
Nobody's above the law, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
He's proven himself disloyal, not just to Trump, but like to the Constitution.
To the United States
Right.
of America.
So absolutely not.
Yeah. A typical Washington guy. I saw what Politico said. Is Pompeo coming back at state?
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay. So I'll give you a couple of possibilities at state that I would like to consider. Rick Grinnell, who's former spokesperson for the ambassador to the UN, and then was the ambassador to Germany, did a great job, and then came back and headed up DNI, Director of National Intelligence. That guy is sharp.
Very, very intelligent. I like his demeanor also. He is firm but smart. I think that's a good pick.
The other pick, I think, would be interesting. It would have an impact on Tennessee politics. Senator Bill Hagerty. Now, Bill Hagerty was the ambassador to Japan, and then, Trump likes him.
Yeah.
He's a successful business guy. Worked for Boston Consulting Group and then Bain, and made a lot of dough, and Vanderbilt Law School grad. Sharp guy. I think he's more of an executive type, than a legislator. I think he'd be a good pick there.
I'd have to do a little more research on that. I like Bill Hagerty. I'm not opposed necessarily.
Just need to know a little bit more.
But he's a little like quieter and a little less forward, I guess, than Rick Grinnell. The other name
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Grinnell probably's got a little bit more oomph with the press.
Yeah, so it just depends on
Who's the other name you think of?
Well, the one that's being floated around, of course, for multiple positions is Senator Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio. Now, there's a report. I think he's very good, very articulate. There's an asterisk. And the asterisk was articulated by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., apparently. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said, in essence, no way.
Yeah, don't do it.
And the claim is he's sort of got a neocon influence. Neocon is a pejorative term now for basically those that want endless wars.
Right.
I would say
I don't know that that's Senator Rubio, though. I don't know if that's totally fair.
I think you're right about that.
I think Rubio's biggest problem is that he tends to kind of lick the finger and stick it in the air and kind of see which way the political winds are blowing.
He's a politician.
And so, that's why I would prefer that he not be considered really for any cabinet position.
Right.
But he's doing well in the Senate
Doing
now,
well.
and we need those Senate seats also. So let's just be careful about what we're proposing.
I think it'll be Grinnell.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it'll be Grinnell. I think, and think about this. Talk about a diverse cabinet. And Donald Trump just picked Susie Wiles.
Oh, she's
Chief of Staff.
terrific. Yeah.
Now, have you ever talked to him or interacted with her?
No, never. She really doesn't do much in the way of self-aggrandizing or patting herself on the back. I like that she is understated, but a powerhouse behind the scenes. From what I understand, she is very strong as a leader.
So she's got the right demeanor. She doesn't want to be out in public. I have had an opportunity to interact with her on a couple occasions,
Okay.
mostly by phone or text, and everything that people use, every descriptor is correct. Very smart,
Good.
very tough, very loyal, and the side benefit. You know who her dad was?
Yeah, I saw
the
a
great,
clip.
the great Pat Summerall. And Pat Summerall, as you know, was a kicker
NFL,
and an NFL player for the New York Giants, and then for I don't know, like 30 years, was the broadcast partner of John Madden,
Yes.
and he was terrific. Now, he also had an alcohol problem, which he overcame, and his relationship with his daughter was, I think, frosty at times,
Sure.
but did ultimately was fine. But she's tough, and I think it's a great choice.
From what I understand, people like working for her.
Well, not only that, look, she understands what the role of the chief of staff is. The role of the chief of staff is not to be out front.
Right.
And if you saw on election night, it was it told you
Telling.
everything.
Yep.
So Trump has had a few people get up and talk and say a few things, and he brought up Susie and said, "Hey, Susie, would you like to say a few words?" And she said, she smiled, kind of backed off.
Backed off and said no, thank
and
you.
then had Chris, who's like
Yes.
the killer dog,
Yeah.
Chris Masavita. And I mean, this guy's a killer.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I think that's a great illustration right there, on live TV of the kind of leader she will be in that role. I like it a lot. I think she, she was the doer. She was the one who made things happen. Rapid response was incredible. I mean, you really look at this campaign and it was run flawlessly, and she deserves credit for that.
Probably the most important position is Attorney General.
Yes.
Because you got to stop lawfare. In our cabinet bingo game, who do you pick?
Oh, I feel like we have a couple of really good choices. One name that's floating out there, though, is Senator Mike Lee, and I don't want that for him.
Stay in the Senate.
Yeah, I'd stay in the Senate and then maybe be a Supreme Court justice. He knows the Constitution backwards and forwards better than he knows his own kids' names, I promise you. So I like him in a different role. Let's see, who are the other names?
Mark Paletta is.
Yeah, Mark
Paletta is in betting terms, he's probably the leading contender. He very effectively has defended Clarence Thomas. He's very loyal. He's on the transition team. Now, there's been a rumor out there that some Bill Barr acolytes are trying to get back in the game.
Yeah, nonsense.
Bill Barr, who stabbed the president in the back on the way out.
Yep.
Never, Bill Barr.
No. Keep him on the enemies list. We're done with that.
I got one that's been out there, and then one surprise. The one who's out there is a friend of this program, former Department of Justice attorney official Jeff Clark.
Ah.
Jeff Clark is in the mix.
Okay.
He's been, he wrote this little memo, internals to the president about January 6th, and what the president's options were. And that's been used and abused by the left to do lawfare. They're trying to get rid of his, disbar him, and he's been also indicted in the Georgia Fani Wallace thing. He probably would be the best in terms of understanding what to do.
Is he a little too embroiled, though?
Well, that's the problem. Would you like to hear the surprise?
Surprise.
Surprise. Former New York Congressman Lee Zeldin.
Ah, I hadn't heard that name yet.
Yeah. Well, he lost his race for governor
Yep.
against crazy Kathy Hochul.
Hochul. Mm-hmm.
But he was very effective in some get out the vote operations
Okay.
across the country, and a very loyal guy. I don't know the degree to which he has practical legal experience, right?
Okay.
Because getting a law degree is one thing. Being an effective litigator
Sure.
is another. And not everybody who has a law degree is an effective litigator, but he would be a good pick, I think. I think if I had to guess right now, personally, I'd like it to be Jeff Clark.
Okay.
I think it's more likely to be Mark Paletta.
Okay.
And I think we'll learn pretty soon.
Which of the picks is most likely to be the best people manager? Because when it comes right down to it, intelligence and
I think
litigation experience, all that is important.
All
but
three of them would be good. All
Yeah.
three of them would be
Yeah.
good. They'd be equally good. And on that note, we'll continue with cabinet bingo when we get back, because we've only gotten through 2 cabinet positions.
Right.
We'll be back with E.J. Haast after this. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Hey there, this is Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back in the studio. EJ Haas, our new all-star panelist. We've been playing cabinet bingo, and it's pretty fun so far. We've only got through 2 cabinet positions. There is one, actually, that I think has been not announced, but it's out there a lot.
Yeah.
It's not one that I really think about a lot. It's not in the top, 3 or 4 or 5 cabinet positions. That's Secretary of Agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently the Libertarian Republican congressman from Kentucky,
Senator Massey.
Congressman Massey,
Excuse me.
yeah, he's got a farm
Yes.
at his house that he kind of operates in the old style, I guess you would say. And he's he's a fascinating guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he graduated from MIT, an engineer, and he invented a bunch of stuff and made a bunch of money. And now he's got, it's a certain, I'm not going to use the term, but there's a certain term for when you have a certain amount of money.
Sure.
He's got that amount of money.
He does have that amount of money.
It liberates you to do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he's been a Trump critic in some regards. But the word has floated out that he would be Secretary of Agriculture.
I find that to be interesting. So ag has become very technical, right? We're using a lot more, and he's invented amazing things. If you follow anything that he's, the chicken thing that's been floating around most recently.
What's the chicken thing?
So
he invented a chicken thing.
He invented a chicken thing. It's a way to allow your chickens to graze kind of in a more natural environment, but also being protected from predators. Anybody who has chickens knows that there's plenty of predators that will come and try and eat them,
Foxes,
whether it's dogs, everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, he invented this really cool thing that basically moves the chickens around the farm so that they can have fresh places to eat and graze and whatever. And I'm not a farmer, so I'll probably get all the terminology wrong. But to me, I found it fascinating that he was just like, oh, there's a problem, I want to fix it.
And he fixed it.
Found out how to fix it. And he does all of this with some interesting flair. He'll put Star Wars music behind it or something like that, so that it's
He's
very
a fun
interesting.
guy.
He is fun. He is very, very intelligent. So I like the idea that he knows that technology has to play a role in agriculture. But I want that in addition to the RFK Jr. side of things,
right,
that is saying we're going to make agriculture healthy again. I think that's important.
And
also.
there's a personal reason why he might consider this right now, because his wife just passed away, and so he's probably thinking, well, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Right. And he's been in the House, I don't know, 6 terms.
Mm-hmm.
And he's never going to be in leadership in the House.
Right. They wouldn't dare. He's
But he could be good in agriculture. And again, back to this whole team thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
A caller texts me that it's a chicken tractor.
Yes, thank you. Chicken tractor.
A chicken tractor.
Well done. It's unbelievable. If you haven't seen it, I'll try and find it and post it on X.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You got Elon Musk with his chicken tractor. Now, you got Thomas Massey with his chicken tractor. You got Elon Musk with his, booster rocket guiding down into
his chopsticks catcher.
His chopsticks catcher. Mm-hmm. You've got Starlinks. It's like this really is a golden age here.
Right.
Just get all the regulations out of the way, get the stupidity out of the way.
And that's where Massey would be amazing too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because there are a lot of regulations that are not helping our farm families.
I mean, you ask a
and-
lot of farmers, what do they grow? I asked one farmer the other day, and he said, yeah, I grow wheat and I grow subsidies.
Yep.
Well, come on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just FDR stupid.
Right. It really is. And we subsidize a lot.
Yeah.
But it's not sustainable, though. I'd rather they just grow food.
And the agriculture thing is fun, and it matters a lot to
Yep.
a lot of people, but it's not really kind of, I mean, they retread governors of Iowa in that position, right? I think Tom Vilsack has
Yep.
served multiple times in it. And it's still the same old, same old. Let's subsidize the big companies and
Right.
let's give a little bit to the smaller guys. So I think that would be I think he could do a really good job. And if you think about it, if you're Thomas Massey, you look at this and say, okay, I've been in Congress. I've kind of gotten to where I, pretty much need to be. I can't go any higher in Congress. And if you look at it, this is why it's such an exciting time to be alive after 16 years of misery.
Right?
The exciting part about this is if you think about changing how the federal government works and how our social compact is,
Right.
you got 4 years of Donald Trump, you got possibly 8 years of J.D. Vance.
If we're lucky enough.
You got a 12-year runway here,
Right,
folks.
right.
You can totally change the country.
Agreed. And I like Massey in that role too because I think his heart is in the right place. He understands the Constitution. Of course he has the experience, but I also think he's a forward thinker.
He is, yeah.
Meaning that I think he would like to leave a legacy of something really great. But he does it quietly.
Yeah.
He's not making a ton of money off of all these inventions anymore, like with the hoopla, and he doesn't need a lot of,
Right.
Praise for it. He just fixes things. And
Yeah.
I like that mentality.
I think that's great. Well, we got off on the,
Right, sorry,
agriculture.
tangent.
No, that was, we love talking about Thomas Massey and agriculture. But let's talk about the Department of Defense. And we have the clip 3 of Donald Trump the other day talking a little bit about some of his first steps and who he wants to get rid of
Yeah.
and why he wants to get rid of them at the Department of Defense and in the military. Here we go. Clip 3, Donald Trump talking.
We'll get the resignations of every single senior official who touched the Afghanistan calamity to be on my desk at noon on Inauguration Day. You have to fire people. You have to fire people when they do a bad job. We never fire anybody. You got to fire them. Like on The Apprentice, you're fired. You did a lousy job. You did a terrible, terrible disservice to our country. You get fired when that happens. Nobody got fired. Nobody ever gets fired in this administration.
All right. You got to love that.
Terrific.
You're fired. You did a lousy job.
Right off the cuff. He's so great at that.
Okay, so I've started to use Grok. Grok is, if you're on X, formerly Twitter, it's their version of AI, artificial intelligence. We'll talk a little bit more of that in the future. You've used GP Chat some, right?
Chat GPT. Yeah.
Chat GPT, yeah. And that's the Google thing. You seem to be comfortable with it.
Google's different, so they've got Gemini, and they've got another project going on right now.
Chat GPT is out of something. Another
It's just
operation.
OpenAI. It's its own.
Got it.
It's its own thing. And honestly, just because I started with that, that's probably
You're
why.
comfortable with it.
But Meta has a pretty decent AI now, also. So if you're Facebook, Instagram, whatever, I think they're all kind of drawing from the same
Right.
pool right now of information, right? Like, so basically, what it does is scrape the internet for information.
Scrape it.
Yep.
At super duper fast speeds.
Incredible speeds.
And
yeah.
apparently, in order to do that, you need a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. And so Elon Musk has spent like $100 million on a server farm in
Yep.
Memphis,
Yep.
Tennessee, to do that. I don't understand all the details of it, but I've not been a big fan of AI, and just because you get out what you put in, how you program it, and it's clear that to me some of the other AIs are biased.
Yes.
And they reflect the algorithmic creation of somebody who's a leftist. And that same thing could happen with Grok, which is it's the version of AI that's accessible on X if you're if you buy the premium thing. And so I ask it some questions.
Okay.
And I think this is going to illustrate sort of the pluses and minuses of using AI, in particular Grok. That's the one we're going to stick with.
Okay.
And the reason we're going to stick with Grok is because we are going to begin using AI in our reporting, but as a research tool. In other words, some people use AI entirely, and if you ever go to a news site and there's no byline there, it could easily have been created by AI.
Sure.
And our policy on this going forward is, for a while, I was very resistant to using AI, right? But then on the other hand, you don't want to be a Luddite. Luddite are basically it's a group in 19th century England that would go around smashing new equipment that made it easier to weave. So you can't be a Luddite. The march of progress continues. I mean, it just boom, it's just relentless. Okay, so it continues. Therefore, am I not going to use it, or am I going to use it properly?
Right. It's inevitable. We have to use it.
Gotta
The
use
one
it.
thing you have to understand about AI too, though, is that it's not just the people who create the algorithms that determine what pops out. It can be manipulated because every piece of information you put into it, meaning as regular users, millions of us out there using this and putting information out, whether it's
Right.
just on a blog or wherever, it uses that same information again because other people have seen it. So the more engagement it gets, the more usage it gets, the more it will show up in your
So
results.
let me
and that
give you an
sort of thing.
example of AI. And I've asked it one particular question,
Okay.
and you'll see why it needs a human touch.
Okay.
Ready? The question I posed to Grok, and I got an answer like in 15 seconds max. Who are the possible picks by Trump for Secretary of Defense?
Okay.
There are 4 options that came up. The first one was Mike Pompeo.
Yeah.
So this is the explanation. No, Grok, hear me. Mike Pompeo is a dishonest, disloyal weasel. Do not put Mike Pompeo anywhere.
Right.
See, Grok missed that.
Well, because it's not looking for the best or
Possible picks.
Right.
That's
just,
what
it
I
just
put
said
in.
possible picks, and everybody is talking about Mike Pompeo right now. So that's
Particularly
why
Mike
it's
Pompeo.
That right.
Okay, so Tom Cotton, senator from Arkansas,
I've heard that name floated around.
but he said no, I'm not going to do it.
Yep.
So Grok missed that.
Yep.
Now, however, here are 2 names that I think I've got a good shot. Mike Waltz, representative from Florida, former Green Beret,
Yep.
aligned policies with Trump. And then Christopher Miller, acting defense secretary towards the end of Trump's first term. I think Waltz, to me, I think you fill in your bingo card with Mike Waltz at defense.
That's probably smart. I think if he isn't there, he'll probably end up maybe in charge of Veterans Affairs, something like that. Also,
Yeah.
possibility.
On that note, we still have only gotten through like 4
4?
cabinet positions. Can we complete the cabinet?
I don't know if we can complete it, but we can get close.
We can get close to. All right, we'll have more with EJ Haast after this.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back in studio, All-Star panelist E.J. Huss. E.J., we're going to have some fun here. Dueling AIs, right? We ought to play the dueling banjos in the background. So you are a Chat GPT person, right?
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah.
That's my
and
choice.
I've been using Grok, which is Elon Musk's on X. And so we asked the same question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what answer you've got, but we're going to start with you.
Okay.
We'll go one at a time. Who are the possible picks for Secretary of Treasury by Donald Trump?
So there are 5 that returned for me.
I got 5 returned also.
Jamie Dimon.
I got Jamie Dimon.
Right.
Who else?
I don't know if I love that one. Judy Shelton.
I don't have
probably
Judy.
not on your list.
Who is Judy Shelton?
I guess she's, according to Chat, known for her criticism of the Federal Reserve and advocacy for a return to the gold standard.
Judy Shelton. Okay. Don't have her. Not on my
Was not on my
AI
radar
bingo card
either. Larry Kudlow.
Not on my card.
Yep, Trump economic advisor.
Okay.
I don't know that that's something he would do, but interesting nonetheless. David Malpass,
Now let's.
former president of World Bank.
So would you like to? I know David Malpass.
Do you personally?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
No, he's a good man.
Okay.
He's a very good man, a former World Bank president, and his wife actually runs the Daily Caller Foundation now. And I'm good friends with her too. But he was very strong. That would be a good choice.
Would it? Okay, so financially
But I
conservative.
don't have him. But
Okay.
go ahead. Who else you have?
Last one, Steve Mnuchin
Steve
was
Mnuchin.
on my list. Yeah.
Okay, so Mnuchin did a terrific job as Secretary of Treasury in Trump 45. And he would have been on my list. But, okay, so we only have one in common.
What's that?
Okay, so now we're going to the Grok. And by the way, I'm told there's a Grok Fun, Grok Crazy, there's a Grok Fun. I haven't figured out how to use Grok, Grok Fun. I'm on Grok 2.
Okay.
Okay, so Jamie Dimon.
It's called Fun Mode.
Fun Mode.
Fun Mode.
Thank you. Jamie Dimon, CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase. I don't like that pick.
No,
He's very establishment, I think. There's another one on this list who I really despise.
And that is?
Well, I'll let you guess. Who would be the most despised person in the world who's a financial powerhouse? Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock. No.
Yeah, no.
See, this is why Grok. You made a mistake here, Grok. This is why you need personal interaction. No, Larry.
He's just being mentioned enough times that it's they're making the connection. Yeah.
And he's the guy behind all this DEI junk.
Right.
You know, they buy chunks of stock in Fortune 500 companies and then force them to do this DEI junk. Not a good choice. Okay, so another friend of mine, been a friend of this show, Scott Bessent, hedge fund manager, brilliant guy, pals with Stephen K. Bannon. He's been on our show 3 or 4 times.
He's an economic advisor for Trump, right?
He's a hedge fund manager, key economic advisor to Trump. Yeah. Now, the downside is he got to start as a hedge fund manager with George Soros. That's the downside, right? Also,
what are the connections there still?
You know, I don't think he's a George Soros acolyte,
right?
But the guy gave him a start, so you know he's not going to.
I don't love that.
He's not going to slip the shiv in on his way out.
Yeah,
right? Probably
not a fan. Let's move on from him.
John Paulson, he's a billionaire hedge fund manager, and a big contributor to Trump's campaign. I think Paulson would be good. And then there's this guy Robert Lighthizer, former trade rep. That's a good gig.
Yeah.
And he's not a top contender for Treasury. He's come up as he might reprise a role in the administration. I've also heard Bill Hagerty as a Treasury. Yeah. He'd be great at Treasury, right?
And I've heard Lutnick too, campaign guy.
Yeah, he's running he's the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald.
Yep.
And as you know, your history, Cantor Fitzgerald was like on the 31st and 32nd floor of the World Trade Center. And I think they had like 1,000 employees.
Right.
They lost like 900 of them that day.
Something
awful like that. But he survived because he was late for a meeting or something.
Wow.
And so he's built it back. And he's a tough guy. I think he'd be a good pick. I would say right now, I don't think it's going to be Jamie Dimon. I would say to the three front runners, in my view, David Malpass, Steve Mnuchin, and John Paulson.
Okay.
Any of them be great.
Okay.
Personally, I'd like it to be David Malpass. Why? Because I know the guy.
Right.
And he's a good guy. And he's originally from upstate New York. So, what's not to like?
Yeah. If they are conservative, I like this whole gold standard thing. Let's not count Judy Shelton out. If she can at least be influential and telling these guys, hey, we got to get back to a normal fiscal policy, that would be great.
What's interesting about this is what we're learning about the use of AI also, because you generate a list of 5 using ChatGPT, which is the open AI thing.
Right.
I generated a list of 5 using Grok. We only have one in common. That's interesting. And then we had one absolute weasel on the Grok side.
And that was on yours, not mine.
No, that's my point. So I've learned something here.
Yeah.
Right. I've learned the way Grok works, and so my assumption that because Elon Musk has put Grok together, that it's going to be less biased than ChatGPT may not be correct.
Yeah, because it's not just who created the system itself, although that plays a pretty major role in it, right? Because they created the algorithms. But we've had this kind of smart learning technology for a while. And what it's going to do is kind of use the input of all users to create with the answers for new users.
So we have a new feature here. It's called Dueling AIs.
Dueling AIs.
And then you'll do the ChatGPT, I'll do the Grok, and we'll see the difference.
All right.
And the other benefit of this is, see, our listeners are radio people, right? And they say AI and they say, what the heck's that? We can help that. We can learn a little bit about it, and our listeners can as well. EJ Haast, as always, a lot of fun having you on.
Such a good time today.
We'll see. I mean, come on. It's the golden age.
It's
Day 3 of the
best
golden
week.
age.
Yeah.
When we come back, Matt Boyle and we'll be on the phone for our first segment, and Roger Simon will be in studio for the entire segment. We're going to talk about those pogroms, or pogrom, I guess you said it, in Amsterdam. Bad news. Back after this, I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.